tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, New York. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. That like button would tell me where you at. You know, Step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' and Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen, and as always, we have a lot to talk about. But first, I want to give a big thanks to Jerrell, Geoff, Ajay for just holding it down for the 2 weeks I was away in Ghana. And last week, Geoff and Ajay did a great job by themselves. I was able to listen to the show the next day. It was an easy listen. Shout out to the chat, everybody that showed up, the replay gang. I appreciate all of you. As much as I like the Knicks and as much as I like this show and this platform, I'm almost semi-retired and traveling is just my thing. So, you know, ever so often I may have to dip, but I appreciate, you know, the panelists holding it down and the chat holding it down as well. Tonight, we're going to talk about there's 28 games left in the season. We're going to talk about what we want to see from the Knicks in these last 28 games to address any concerns we have to make us kind of feel comfortable and confident about their chances heading into the playoffs. We're going to talk about Mitchell Robinson's return and the impact that can have on the team. And then we're going to actually break down the last 28 games of the season from February 20th, starting this Thursday through March 20th. The Knicks have, I think it's 15 games. 11 of them are on the road, only 4 at home. And that includes a 5-game West Coast trip. Miami twice. We got Philly twice, Cleveland 3 times. Boy, we'll get into it. It's a lot. But let me bring in the guys. Shout out to the chat, by the way. Jerrell, Ajay, I appreciate you too. And Geoff as well. Appreciate you guys doing the show while I was away. How you feeling?
Man, I don't know if I feel okay about what went down last week. Ajay and Geoff tried to get us out of here. I don't like it. They was too comfortable talking to each other. I think it was the first time I looked at the screen and neither one of us was there, Steph.
I know.
I didn't like that.
Yeah,
don't
and
be
they weren't
doing us like that, Ajay. Don't be good. Don't be as good next time.
Right. And they weren't like nervous and like it was like smooth. Yeah, you're right.
And I was gonna come on here, everything was gonna be all gravy, huh? Nah, I don't like that, man.
We learned from the best. What can I say? We try to be like you all.
Man, y'all were great, man.
Y'all were. And you too, Jerrell. The show before
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I was able to catch. I was still on New York Times. I was able to catch some of that.
Yeah, we see you in the chat. Like what it was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning where you was at when we was doing it.
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 12. It was like 2 because I was 5 ahead. Okay. And you know, Jerrell, special shout out to you at the end of the show, just doing the moment of silence for Stafford Don. I thought that was really classy. To do that. And I'm thinking about doing I don't know if I want to do a memorial show or just a segment and get some clips from Stafford Don when he was here and talk about it. Shout out to Greg who mentioned that in the chat about doing something like that. So yeah, that's actually a good idea. But anyway, everybody's doing all right.
Everybody good.
We're good.
All right. So what do we want to get into first? Do we want to get into what we're looking to see from the Knicks over the past 28 games, or do we want to actually review the schedule and see what those 28 games look like first?
Do you guys even want to mention the All-Star
Oh, yes.
game at all? I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong,
Let's
it's not
start with that and get that out the way.
I mean, to be honest, I brought it up, but we could have probably skipped it. There's nothing really much for us to say. Like, I don't even know what that was. Like, it was a whole bunch of, like, I knew like the different format was coming and everything, but to be honest, I really wasn't feeling that, man. Like, I ain't like seeing Cat and Brunson going up against each other. I think they should be on the same team. I was selfish. So I didn't like it, but you know, it was good. My kids watched it. You know, it was all good for the weekend, especially like the slam dunk contest actually was decent this year.
Right.
The 3-point contest was, you know, normal. But yeah, it was okay, but we could have probably skipped it, but I figured I'd bring it up.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to. Before I knew it, I was like, "Oh wow, it's." I missed the Rise of Stars game.
All of it.
Then I missed the the Saturday festivities, and then I said, "All right, I'll be home in time Sunday for the All-Star game," and I fell asleep. So, yeah, it's not my favorite thing, but I would have liked to have seen Cat and Brunson had I been awake to do so.
Jay, you got nothing?
Queen said she didn't get a chance. Well, I got a chance. I just chose not to.
You didn't watch it at all? You didn't watch it at all?
Saturday I watched nothing. Like I didn't
Okay.
watch it at all. Sunday I watched the first game where where our two guys were in there, and the Brunson, the team Brunson, I guess with Team Kenny lost. And I was like, I'll skip the next game and I'll try to watch the third game when Cat was back on. And of course, I kind of forgot about it. I just went on too. So.
Yeah, a lot of people was down on it, but the slam dunk contest actually was good this year.
Yeah.
So salute to Mac McClung. He won it again, but Stephon Castle showed out. Like he could have definitely won if Mac wasn't in it. It was he came in second. It was a pretty good dunk contest. You know. It's not easy to say that lately. Like it hasn't been one for so long, but it actually was okay.
Yeah, and that was his third victory. He's just kind of owning the
during the road
the dunk contest.
What do you guys think of the format that the
like the 4 teams are like closest to 40 and like fastest to 40 and on? Yeah, I don't like the format. Doesn't really make any sense, but it's almost like the fans can't have any say in it. They're trying to get us engaged, but I think they need to find out a way to get the players engaged, not the fans. I think once the players get engaged, the fans will get engaged.
That's a great point.
Right.
Until they do that, it'll just be festivities. Like it'll just be, it was trash.
But I will say this though. Oh, hey, Geoff.
Geoff, what up, Geoff?
Oh, there he is.
Sorry, I just got home, y'all.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Okay, no worries. I will say
7
this.
degrees in Texas. We're not used to this around here.
Hey, man.
7
degrees in Texas?
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, it's where I'm at. It feels like 8 degrees, but you're in Texas. That's a little crazy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm sure everything will be shut down tomorrow.
Right.
Amen, sister. You got that exactly right.
Texas just need a little sheet of ice and everything closed.
Georgia too.
Yeah.
Everybody's sending me pictures of the little dust on the grass. I'm like, all right.
It's pandemonium out there, right? With that little dust.
Right.
Right. I will say this though about the All-Star game. Why does it need to be competitive? Like when you think about the Pro Bowl, you think about these like it's an exhibition. These guys are working hard, on their teams. Most of them are the top players on the team. Usually it's the top players on the team make the All-Star game. So they're carrying a lot of load for their team. They just want to come, have fun, run up and down, do easy stuff. Nobody wants to be doing lockdown, Dennis Rodman type defense. And it's an exhibition game. So I think for us who wanted to be like a regular season playoff game, I just think we might be asking a bit too much. Now, even back in the day, that's really how it was the first three quarters. They would buckle down in the fourth quarters, but the first 3 quarters was more like an exhibition. Nowadays, basically what we're seeing is the fourth quarter. It just continues for the entire game. It's like nobody really cares who wins. Yeah, shout out to Kerry Cox, who said basically it's a glorified pickup game, and I don't really blame them. You know, do you really want Towns and Brunson really going out there playing hard as if they're playing the Milwaukee Bucks? I don't know about that.
I agree with you. It's just that I just think they need to find a way to get them engaged somehow. Like, it doesn't have to be super competitive. I just don't like the format how it is now. With Brunson should not be playing like the rookie team or the rookie guys in the All-Star game. Like Sundays for All-Stars. I remember Draymond Green said something about it during the broadcast. It's like it's not just for All-Stars anymore. I didn't like having like the rookies on the court and they're like a team versus the other 3 teams and stuff like that. First to 40, just have a game. I don't mind having the like the first 3 quarters is lackadaisical and then get competitive a little bit in the fourth. Like, I don't mind stuff like that. I like it how it was back in the day.
Yeah. Different time, for sure.
True.
Any other comments on the All-Star weekend?
Yeah, Jeff, you see the All-Star game? We was talking about the All-Star weekend stuff.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of the All-Star game to begin with, and they took something that was abjectly terrible and they made it immensely worse. So I really I got sucked in by the new format. I was like, normally I just don't even. I was like, well, I'll give it a try, and then it's like you take a bite of the Impossible Whopper and you realize it's not beef, and you just wish you had,
That's funny.
Shout out to all the vegans and vegetarians out there.
Yeah, salute to y'all.
I ain't one of them.
Yeah, I ain't. Yeah, salute to y'all.
I think the problem I had most with it was that it was only like 30 minutes of actual basketball. Like, it was like 2.5 hours of Kevin Hart and commercials. Like, if I want to watch 2.5 hours of Kevin Hart, I'll turn on a Kevin Hart special. Like, if you're gonna do basketball, we're basketball fans. Give us basketball,
Right. Aj, Steph, I don't know. Y'all, neither one of you saw the game, right? Yeah, Kevin Hart was commentating during the game, like with a microphone out loud so everybody can hear him. It was terrible. It was bad.
Bad.
And it wasn't like vintage Kevin Hart. It was Kevin Hart trying too hard to be funny.
Right.
And that, how that goes. I mean, I don't know. It just, the whole thing was terrible. And then I don't really like the Inside the NBA crew anyway. And when they stopped the last game to give them a salute, I was like,
yep,
this is the worst self-aggrandizing commercialist.
They picked the teams. Like, how did they even get to pick the teams? But it is what it is. It's just media stuff.
Yeah, I did read about that, and somebody was like, they couldn't do that in between the games. They had to do it during the game, and it's not even like they're going away. They'll be on ESPN, ESPN.
Oh God.
Yeah, I guess I'm old school. I really miss listening to commentators and learning. Like, you'll get that with Doris Burke, who can be annoying when it comes to the Knicks, but you'll get that with Doris Burke and Breen.
Hubie Brown. I like Hubie Brown.
Right. But back in the day, Hubie Brown, Fratello, like those guys, you could actually learn the game from just listening to them.
I feel like Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were really good.
Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, absolutely. You would, you can learn from them. But most others, it's like entertainment, which, I mean, listen, it's, it's a young person's game, and I guess that's who they're catering to in terms of who's watching. But I really miss that hardcore analysis.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So Jeff, we're talking Mitchell Robinson. We're talking what we want to see over the last 28 games. Not this is separate from Mitchell Robinson. What we want to see over the last 28 games to kind of answer any concerns we might have and kind of go into the playoffs super confident. Like what would we like to see? And then also just do a schedule breakdown of the last 28 games. So I was asking before you popped on, did we just want to get into what we want to see over the last 28 games, or do we want to start with the schedule breakdown to actually see what the 28 games look like?
Yeah, let's do the schedule because I don't know what it look like, to be honest.
All right, and then we could talk about what we want to see. All right, let me see.
Yeah, I wrote an article about the schedule. It's a little bit on the rough side.
Facts.
I think from February 28th to starting February 20th, I think we have 9 road games in 11 days or something. Not 9 in 11 days, but 9 road games out of 11 games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough stretch.
So I'm not sure if this is easy or hard, but the purple should probably be extended because I have it starting at Cleveland. But actually, if you start with Chicago, who we play on Thursday, and then you extend it to March 20th when we play Charlotte, that's basically 15 games. 11 of them are on the road, only 4 at home. And it also includes a 5-game West Coast trip. Again, that's just for that month. But if you look at the entire 28 games, there's Philly twice, there's Miami twice, there's Cleveland 3 times, there's Boston twice, there's Memphis, there's the Clippers twice. Like, it's a pretty stout last 28 games. Any thoughts on these 28 games, and any predictions? Like, what would you like? The last 28, what would you like the Knicks to go? Like, are you satisfied if they just break 500 at 14-14? Do you want to see more than that? Is it not even the record you're concerned about, but how they look? Jerrell, we'll start with you. What just looking at the schedule, what sticks out for you? And if you have, a number of games you would like the Knicks to win, that would be fine too.
Okay, it's definitely going to be tough. I don't know how it ranks with the toughest schedule in the league going forward, but it's definitely a tough schedule. I got us going above 500. Above 500 will get us over 50 games. So I definitely got us above 500. But I don't really care about the record though. Even though I would like us to go over 500, if we don't, I'm not, worried. It's all about how we're playing and how consistent we are in our play, especially our defense. I'm not really that worried about our offense going forward, other than, our players shooting well come playoff time. But I think our defense still needs to tighten up a lot more if we want to beat, teams like Boston or Milwaukee in a 7-game series. So I'm really just looking at how the defense is going to fare for the next couple months of the season. Other than that, I know we're going to get to Mitchell Robinson and what he brings to the table, but defense is what I'm really focused on, and the consistency from both continuing with OG and the consistency with Bridges also.
Yeah, for sure. Ajay, just looking at the schedule, anything that stands out for you?
I mean, I think we're gonna end up with a record well above 500. I think. I mean,
not for the season. You mean
no,
these last 28?
No. Not the season. We're already at 36 game. We already right.
Ajay feeling himself this year. Yeah.
We go 6-22. I just I told you we were going to be above 500 this year.
Right, man.
Listen,
I like it.
If I tell you guys, I think we're gonna win. Probably when it's all said and done, we're probably gonna win 55, 56 games, which means 56 means 20-8 the rest of the way.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
what makes you, just looking at who we're playing these last 28 games and what you've seen from the Knicks so far, what gives you that confidence that the Knicks would win 20 of the remaining 28?
The caveat well, if we get our full squad back, if we get reinforcement, yes, I feel that we are. It's the only hiccup I see is it may take time. Chemistry to me is very important in the team. It may take a little time to get this thing going. If it does take longer, then I mean, if it takes too long, we're not going to do well. But if this thing fits and the coaching staff and the players could make it very real quick, I listen. And most of those teams, that's them. Okay, our team is missing a lot of very important pieces. Once we get Mitch, OG, because OG haven't played, I don't know, the last couple of weeks. Deuce, I know it was very minor injury, and that last roster spot, I'm sure they're not gonna put a bum in there. They're probably gonna either TJ Warren bring somebody up that's gonna contribute, at some minutes and some points and some defense. So they're not gonna just throw anybody in there. I don't see our front office doing that. So if the team is healthy and we have our entire team the way it's designed to be, I could see us going 55, 56 games for the season.
Okay. All right. Jeff?
Well, I think I got to be consistent. I thought my target for this team at the beginning of the season was 54 wins. So I think Kerry Cox has it right. If we go 18-10, which is doable, it's not going to be simple to do that, but if we can go 18-10, 54 wins is right about kind of where I expected we would be, and I think that probably gets us to some pretty good solid seeding. A lot of it depends on health. I mean, we actually went 4-1 with OG out of the lineup in the 5 games that he missed, which is mind-boggling to me, considering how vital he is most of the time to what we do on both ends of the floor. But the Knicks usually rise up to the challenge. Maybe not in individual matchups, like Boston's been tough for us this year, but more often than not, the Knicks rise up to challenges, and so I think that they take stuff seriously. They'll think they'll handle this schedule pretty well. They tend to play well in the second half of the year, and we've been kind of win 2, lose 1 most of the year anyway. So 18-10 is right about on that pace. So why not? I would be happy with that.
I mean, when we're looking at the actual teams, let's just say we're playing Cleveland 3 times, Boston twice. That's 5. Let's put Philly in there 7, Miami 9, and the Clippers 11. Those would probably be, well, I don't even know if we could put Miami in there. I mean, like, there's some teams that are not doing well that we're definitely better than, that forever they just give us everything they have. Brooklyn, Miami, even though they don't, you would think that the Knicks should, dust the floor with them. I'm not saying the Knicks won't win, but I doubt if those are going to be easy games. So to get 18 wins, the Knicks are going to have to, they're going to have to be rolling, and they were prior to the All-Star break. I know somebody in the chat said this is the 8th as far as remaining strength of schedule. I think it's 8th. Looks pretty tough. I hate to see who's number one, who's number one if this is 8th. Anything else about the schedule? Now that we kind of know who they're going to be playing, we can kind of move into what we'd like to see over these next 28 games to kind of answer any concerns we might have, or for the Knicks to kind of really be rocking going into the playoffs?
I just know that it's going to be some games that people think we're going to lose that we're going to win, and vice versa. I think it's just going to be up and down. I don't think we can just go in saying these are the teams that we're going to beat and these are the teams that we're going to lose to. I think it's going to just be random. You never know. I think we're good enough to beat anybody, but I also think on any given night we can be beat.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm super looking forward to it. Let me just get to the 2 super chats before we get into what we like to see. Paris Duggar, appreciate the super chat. Did I hear right? Did we lose Stafford Don? Yes, we did. October 12th, 2024.
Yep.
Actually, may he rest in peace. Corey Lee, peace and salute. Queens in the building. What is that? QGTM and the 718 boys are here. Knicks Nation, don't fret. The Butchers coming. Number 23. Tibbs teams finish strong.
Yeah, Corey Lee, a big Mitch fan.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna do a whole segment on Mitchell Robinson, Corey Lee. So stay tuned. So for me, in terms of what I want to see over the 28 games is, can the Knicks be a top 12 defense for these last 28? It's probably too many games gone unless they're holding teams to like under 100 for them to finish top 12 on the season. And I know there was some time in January when they were actually top 12. But even if they don't finish the season top 12, the entire season top 12, can they be top 12 in defense over these last 28 games going into the playoffs? Like, defensively, can they peak going into the playoffs? So that's something that I want to see. I think it's a challenge when you have both Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson playing the minutes that they're playing. And it's not like you could be like, sure, you could take Jalen Brunson off for possession at the end of the game, right? We've done that for defensive purposes. But for the most part, you're not like, oh, this is an unfavorable matchup. Let's sit Jalen Brunson and bring in who? He's going to play. And we're going to have to deal with whatever is not going on defensively. And the same thing with Karl-Anthony Towns. We'll get into Mitchell Robinson coming back. But still, I don't think it's going to be a case where you just sit Towns for like 20 minutes because we're getting smoked and play Mitchell Robinson, because you always have to be concerned about the other end of the floor. So this is going to be a tightrope, in my opinion, for Tom Thibodeau. We'll talk about that. The other thing I'm looking for over the last 28 games is, can the bench solidify themselves and maybe re-solidify themselves if TJ Warren is called up, if Mitchell Robinson is here, so that we can get consistent production from the bench. That's something I'm paying attention to. And lastly, and we'll talk about this more in the Mitchell Robinson section, how well is Tom Thibodeau going to balance what Mitchell Robinson brings for us defensively without taking away too much from what this team is already offensively? And Thibodeau is going to have to be like super sharp in terms of, for the next 5 minutes or whatever, we need Mitchell Robinson here. We're going to sacrifice the and when I say sacrifice the offense, we're going to score. Like, Mitchell Robinson, we have Mitch, Randall, and RJ Barrett, and Jalen Brunson was an all-star. Like, he found the way to score. So it's not like we're not going to score, but the offense is going to look really different. And it's going to be on Tom Thibodeau to kind of balance, to balance that. So that's what I'm really looking for over these last 28 games. Jeff, we'll start with you. Anything you're looking for over the next 28 games?
Well, I think you make some great points, and I think one of the difficulties with this team, especially when you're going against elite competition, and we've seen this so far, I think, when we've played OKC, Boston, and Cleveland, is when you only have one weakness in the lineup defensively, you can kind of cover that up. But when you have two, it becomes too easy to target. And so I think that's been a real difficulty in those matchups for us. And as you said, I don't think the answer is to sit Brunson or Cat for extended periods of time. So if both of those things are true, how do you navigate that? And that's something that, I don't have the answer to, but hopefully Thibodeau does, because if we really want this team to get next level, that's something we're going to have to figure out. And I think McCall's doing a good job. I think OG's doing a good job. Josh Hart, I think, is doing a good job. So it's not like I'm picking on these players individually. It's just every team has its weaknesses. And for us, for this group, that's what our weaknesses are. Or is it a matter of we're just going to have to be able to be so efficient and good offensively that we can outscore those teams? And I don't trust that. So I don't think that's really the answer. I'm not sure. Maybe it means Deuce McBride starting and Josh Hart coming off the bench. I've heard some of that. I don't know if that solves the problem or not either. But I think in the next, we really should look at the position groups and what's giving us the best plus minuses, and kind of figure out how we can employ those lineups for the longest amount of time possible. Because I don't see Robinson as a starter, and ideally I don't think you want Precious on the floor for more than 20 minutes a game either. So they're difficult questions, and I don't know if the answer is in-house.
Correct. And this kind of gets into the question, is it in-house? Is this roster built to be successful this season, or is this a look-see season to see kind of what we need in the off season?
Yeah.
Because either way, I mean, you start Deuce. I think the Brunson, unless something has changed, the Brunson Deuce minutes have been good, but you're undersized a little bit more, and we have rebounding issues as it is. Like Cat is like holding it down. OG's not really a great rebounder. So I mean, if you're talking about McBride starting, but he's just playing his regular minutes, that's just, I mean, that's fine. But when I hear starter, I'm hearing changes in minutes. Like when I hear starter, I'm hearing McBride playing 30 minutes and Hart maybe playing less, or if Mitch is starting, but that's what I hear when I hear starter. But if you're just talking about switching up the starting lineup and those guys play the same amount of minutes, then I mean, I don't think that's that big a deal, So yeah. Good point, Jeff. I think there's roster construction issues still.
I was about to say that. Like Jeff turned to something else completely with the roster construction thing. Now you got me thinking about all the other stuff. Yeah, so I almost forgot what the original question was.
What are you looking to see from the Knicks over these last 28 games that would answer any concerns you have and make you feel confident about them heading into the playoffs?
Talk about defensive wise, though, right?
Anyway,
period. What do you want to see? Period. It could be defense. It could be.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely defense. And I completely agree with everything Jeff just said, especially with the roster construction. I don't know if it's possible us to get better at defense, but at least our defense, I don't think could get any worse. because defense comes with camaraderie and chemistry and all that stuff too. Like the longer they play together, I think the better the defense will be. But yeah, like OG got to come back, Mitch got to come back, and then we have to see how, Mitch coming back, creates, different matchups that Tom Thibodeau can have now that he got another big like that. So I really want the defense, us to solidify the defense. But like Geoff said, I don't know if that's possible this year because of that. Because you don't know if the answer, like he said, is whether it's in-house or will this be something that we talk about in the offseason, because the trade deadline is already passed. So
Right. The thing about it, Jerrell, I don't see Brunson and Towns changing.
right.
I mean, unless there's an opportunity like in the off season where somebody better than Towns comes up, then the Knicks, decide they're gonna make that move. Other than that, these are the two guys who are the weakest defensively, but they're your two best players.
Right.
So how do you, and the Knicks kind of knew that, and they went out and got Bridges, OG, to kind of play hard, to play these rugged, guys to kind of put around them. I still think there's a path because, listen, I keep harking back to Denver.
Right.
The Joker and Murray weren't like lockdown defenders, and they figured out a way to make it happen. Though their defense was better in the playoffs than it was in the regular season. And I do think the Knicks have that potential as well, because we've seen it for stretches. We've seen it for stretches of games. So they have that potential. Is it just a matter of focus? Is it just, I'm not sure. Is buying in? I'm not sure what it is, but they have that potential. So perhaps, in the playoffs, they will, be a bit more consistent with it. But yeah, I agree. We can't just rely on the offense. Sometimes shots go south, even when you get wide open
Right.
ones. They'll, you miss. Ajay, last 28 games.
Well, aside from defense, like we all know, we all know the weak points, right? Defense, all you guys mentioned defense, but I also want more consistent scoring off the bench. Not that, because some games these guys ball out, some games Deuce can't miss, and Campaign, come in here, score 18 points in like 30 seconds, but then the next game he disappears. So, I want more consistent scoring off the bench, and it's very important. See, off the bench, they don't have to. Ideally, you'd like to have a great all-around players, right? At any spot, but because a lot of time the bench is going to play the other team's bench, they don't have to be like stellar defenders, right? But if they could put the ball in the hole, we could keep pushing, to try to add to that lead we have, or try to gain on that deficit. You just want something consistent. Okay. And you also want somebody that could come in that the coach can trust in case one of our guys is in foul trouble. We know Cat, he'll come in the first quarter, he commits 3 foolish fouls. You want to know you got somebody you could come in here that could give you good minutes. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I want to see. I want to see guys that when somebody's relegated off the bench, and not to mention, I want to see the coaching staff understand that they can trust those guys as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And Queen, when last, I know you didn't see those games. There's an example I used the other day when we were playing the Pacers, right?
Oh, I watched the games. I was able to get the games.
You watched the games? Okay, we were playing the Pacers, and we were up by like 15, 17 points. Brunson had 5 fouls. And we had a game the next night. There was no reason to put him back in the game. The coach got to understand, no, I can trust the guys that are in here. I don't need to put Brunson back. With us up 15. We have a game the next day. Let this guy rest. Let him be fresh for the next game. You know what I'm saying? So right. There's a lot of little things, a lot of the things have to be tweaked to make us a better team. So, and you want to see those things happen. Listen, I know those guys are looking at all those things. I don't know if they're going to implement the changes need to be, because people like to say Tibbs is stubborn. I don't know if it's stubborn. I just think it's a matter of trust with him, like who he trusts. He'd rather go down with the guys that he trusts than, take a chance on guys like he's unsure of what they could do. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of little things. And let's not forget, this team, this is season 1 for them. So this is the finding out season. Let's find out what we have with these guys season. You know what I'm saying? So my issue with the finding out is we don't have a lot of room to make a lot of moves with our situation, financially. So they're going to have to be real creative to make something happen there in the postseason if they want to make changes to this roster. But they still trying to find out what they have with this team. It's brand new,
Yeah.
Mitch never played with Cat. They still haven't played together.
Right.
So.
A shout out to Dexter Henry. I was watching his show. I forgot the guest he had on, and they were also talking about, what they want to see from the Knicks down the stretch. And, he made the point, or his guest made the point, that the Knicks have a 4-year window, but that doesn't necessarily mean that these guys are going to be the guys who are here for the entire 4 years. So after 2 years, maybe the Knicks decide to up if it's not working or they don't feel like they're making enough headway. Bridges, OG, Hart, all of those guys, there's no guarantee that the starters are going to be the ones who are here when we win the chip. And I just go back to Boston when, Marcus Smart was a big part of, obviously he wasn't Tatum and Brown, but he was a big part of their team. And he gone, and they won after it. So, after that. So I'm hoping we can get it done with this group. I really, 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 really like this starting 5. But who knows? Who knows? I think the playoffs is going to tell us a lot about this team and what it needs. Right? All right.
And remember too that once the season is over and draft night hits, it unlocks more quivers in our arrows in our quiver rather to make a transaction, because I think you unlock that 2031 first round pick and some other things. So other better assets become available in a deal besides just salary that we have now. So I think that was part of the calculus why they decided to wait at the deadline, besides everything that we're talking about right now, and the fact that this team is just kind of in its contention infancy, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah. Let's get to the chat. I know we can get to the super chat first. I'll put the number up as well. If you call in, if we can keep the calls to like 2.5 minutes. I know a few people in the chat said they wanted to call in. So while Ajay is reading that, I will put the number up. And Ajay, yeah, you can.
All right. So you shout out to it hides the number though.
All right.
We'll put the number back up.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Double D. It says there's only 32 more games. That's of course, the chats go back to the beginning of the show, and we're talking about the schedule and all that stuff. So there are 32 more games left over. So all of them are important. The goal is to try and win as many as possible. And all of the remaining games are equally as important as the Celtics and Cavs. Well, Double D, I don't disagree. The only thing is that's Tibbs' mentality from day one. From game one, what you're saying is what he sees. He said, except at 32, he'll say just there's only 82 games left. So
that's true.
I mean, but really, there's only 28 games left.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, shout out and thank you for the for this.
Yeah,
shout out to
JJ. We have a super chat though from Corey Lee.
Corey Lee got a couple of them.
He has multiple.
All right, let me do. Shout out to Corey Lee. Thanks for the.
We did that one though.
Oh, that's okay.
So you got 2 after that.
and one of them is asking, "Are we gonna take calls?" Right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they're
this one,
usually at the top.
so you can chime in. So Corey Lee, you could get ready to start dialing in because we getting ready to.
Right,
Here's the number right here. Thanks,
right.
Corey Lee. And last one from Corey Lee said, Mitch, offensive rebounding will allow the second team extra shots, and his rim protection will help create fast break baskets. Think about it.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Well, and that's going to be super helpful too. Not just in the second unit, like when he plays with the starters. If Cat goes out with his foul trouble or whatever, these guys are going to have extra opportunities. If we get the Mitch that we know from seasons past, these guys are going to get extra opportunities at the basket. So, yeah, that definitely that's a good point. Let me go back to that. Shout out to Kerry Cox, says 54 wins. I think he's right up there with you, Geoff. I want us to play better defense. Kevin Bergens, what we expect from the Knicks. What we expect. Johnny Davis says above 500 and healthy for the remaining 28 games. JM 3000 says I want to see assist and more shot making.
Defense as well.
Defense, assist and more shot making. I guess assist and shot making is really the same thing, right? Or well, no, not really, because guys can create their own shots.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it is interesting though. When we have 30 plus assists in a game, our record is like the best in the league, and when we don't, we're very pedestrian. I forget the exact numbers, but I saw it on X the other day, and 30 assists is the magic number for this team as far as getting W's.
Right. That means guys got to hit shots.
That means guys are shooting well. That's all it means. And I, me and assist.
I know.
It's a partial stat. 30 assists means we're shooting well. Kerry Cox says Bridges needs to be our leading third scorer, with Josh Hart closely behind.
I do think, and I might be on an island by myself, that Bridges has another level. We've seen glimpses of it. He has another level. And if he ever becomes unlocked, this is just a different team. That mid-range is like just water. What you gonna say, Jerrell?
I was just gonna say the Bridges that I talked about so glowingly in the beginning of the season that kind of, hasn't shown up yet.
Well, we've seen glimpses. He's like kind of inconsistent with it, but
right.
When he really comes into his own, it's a wrap. I'm really, really high on Bridges. I know there's some Knicks fans still down on him, but
can I ask a question,
I'm really
Queen?
high on him. Sure.
Do you think that his increased responsibility defensively will put a cap on his offensive upside?
It could, but I think he has the stamina. Like when you think about somebody like a Kawhi Leonard, who plays both ends of the when healthy, plays both ends of the floor. Doesn't seem like there's much, drop off. Sometimes Paul George can do that too. Both sides of the floor doesn't see. I think Bridges can be one of those, just because of his stamina. I think he could be, one of those. Now, those guys are usually not playing point of attack defenders, so opposing players. So maybe that makes a difference. But I think he could do both. I really think he could. But that's a fair point. It's a lot of energy he's putting out, guarding the point of attack, navigating screens. That's a lot of energy, and the minutes he's playing on top of that.
I think he could because of like the number of the pecking order he's in. Like if he was a first option or even our second, then I would probably be like no.
Right.
But now that he's third and sometimes fourth, depending on what type of game OG's having, he needs to step up, especially during the playoffs.
I think he will.
Yeah, because I don't want to use him playing good defense as an excuse for him having bad offensive nights if he's the third or fourth option.
Right.
Like, he needs to step up.
Well,
Right.
and you would figure his opportunities would get better when in the playoffs, when teams are really zeroing in on stopping Cat and JB. You would figure he would get much better looks than maybe he would just on an average night in February.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else, Ajay?
Yeah. Shout out to Double D. Says it is important how we fare against other teams down the stretch. We don't want teams handling us and giving team confidence. We want teams to understand that come playoff that it's on.
404-507-4192. Call from
Corey Lee.
Corey Lee.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press.
Hello, Corey Lee. How are you? What you got for us?
Hey, how you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I appreciate you allowing me to chime in.
Of course.
I'm basically gonna feed off of what I was saying about my super chat, and also prior to several of my super chats. I'm not too worried about what this Knick team is going to do as far as moving on to for the rest of the season. I'm looking at it game by game, step by step. I understand, Tibbs is going to take his time adding into the fold. And I understand that you're saying that you all said that, that him and Cat haven't played together. But Mitch has pretty much been in the system for a minute. And I think it's not going to take them long for them to adjust and get acclimated amongst themselves, even if they end up playing with each other on the court at the same time. And also, too, I think that the simple fact that Mitch doesn't need the ball like that to be effective on either side of the court. So I'm not really worried about it. I think it was more of a plus. And I understand, everybody knows I'm a big Mitch Robinson fan. Everybody sees what my statements are a lot. And those of you who come on to the Blogger's Kids channel and they hear me, debate back and forth with Freezy. But the point I really want to make this clear is that I believe that Tibbs is going to use them not only situational, but at certain points in the game where we really need to stop, or we have to stop from attacking Cat in certain aspects of the game. That's when I really feel like he's going to use Mitch more so than ever. So it's going to be the case by case, game by game.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
I hope he's right. I hope Corey Lee's right, because Tibbs, I hope he doesn't develop like a set schedule to throw Mitch in, and he follows the game. He reads the game and then adjusts, throw Mitch in, as needed, as opposed to the cookie cutter, in 4 minutes left in the first quarter, that's when Mitch comes in, regardless of what's going on in the game. Because that's one of his guys. He likes Mitch, so I just hope he flows with it.
All right.
Tibbs. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, Tibbs. Tibbs, first of all, the circle of trust. But also, too, I feel like more and more, like I've seen this year, him trying to expand that circle to some degree. And I think he's going to tinker for about the next 2 weeks. The Knicks fans do not lose your minds to some degree. And it was sort of like how he was integrating Ariel Hawkporty and how we sacrificed some points towards the end of the game, and it looked like it was closer than what it should have been. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. You know, other teams are kind of buckling down, and we're incorporating, you know, new pieces down the stretch, in Mitch and maybe even TJ Warren, who I'm not sure if TJ Warren will get playing time. I think he will, but even if that's the case, we're going to be integrating two new pieces down, you know, down the stretch. That's not always easy.
But that's all I have to say, my dear.
Appreciate
Thank you
you.
so much for allowing me to
Of
come up
course.
on your platform. You know I'm always here. Holla at me.
Yeah,
You know how to
you
get at
can
me.
hop on anytime you want to hop on. You can hop on Thursdays 9 o'clock. Today we go on Tuesday because the Knicks have a game.
Yes, ma'am. But I thank
Great
you so
call,
much for
Corey
allowing
Lee.
me to
Thanks
come
as
through.
always, bro.
And I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. Hey, man. My man. I can't. Not Aj. Oh my God, it's not
Jerrell,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Oh my God,
Jeff.
Jerrell. Yeah, Jerrell. We're gonna be all right this year. Shador.
We'll see. We'll see. I would not mind that pick, though. I would not mind that pick. I want Shador. But we'll see.
All right. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, man.
Salute.
Yeah.
Do you think if TJ Warren comes in, Tibbs will give him the Alec Burks role, whatever that role was?
It's hard to say what Thibodeau was going to do. He knew Burks. He trusted Burks, and he gave Burks every opportunity before he cut him out of the lineup.
But what's a different situation though? The lineup was different because he has guys now that you have a better Deuce, right? You have a campaign that there's some level of trust in him. There's Precious. There's even Shamit, who's not producing a ton offensively, but he likes the defense. So it's a different lineup also than when Alec Burks was here, I guess.
And our bench
But
was
what's the
razor
question?
thin when he was given Burks
Yeah.
minutes in the last year. I mean, not before in the 37-win season, he let him play 8,000 minutes a game. But
yeah, it's different.
But last year, I think it was almost there wasn't hardly anybody left on the bench. I think we were playing 7 or 8 guys because that's all we had.
You're talking in the playoffs or down the stretch of the season?
Down the stretch and in the playoffs. But remember, we had the discussion about whether we were going to be playing Jacob Toppin or, I don't know. I don't even remember all the guys at this point, but there were 3 or 4 guys who just weren't rotation worthy players, and Burks was there. So yeah, Burks got some minutes, but I think that tapered off a bit with the health of the roster when it improved momentarily.
Yeah, I saw it different. I saw when those two guys came over from Detroit, Tibbs really trying to incorporate them in, and Burks just couldn't get it going. He just couldn't get it going. Game up till it got to the point where he was just getting like a possession or two. And then he was eventually out of the rotation. But I really thought they were really trying to incorporate him and Bogdanovich down the stretch of the season. But Burks just got to the point he just was unplayable. He's offensively. Just wasn't.
Bogey started getting more minutes, a lot more minutes than him when they both came over here too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for sure. JJ, I know you wanted to call in, so if you wanted to, you can. Then we're gonna move into the Mitchell Robinson. Are we finished with the comments? Do you have any more comments on?
There's a couple more. We can go through them real quick. Knicks will be 25-26 champs. Knicks are going to lose 2 out of 3 games they should have won. I don't disagree, but they're also going to win 2 out of 2 or 3 games they expected to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice balance. Nothing changes there. JJ, I don't know if JJ's going to call. He says, I'm not letting Mitch hurt this great offense we have in starting 5. I guess JJ does not want to start Mitch, and it's a two-piece. Part two is no go two guys on the bench, no consistent scoring.
Right.
You know what? When I looked at other people's, I don't know, maybe I have to look at others' benches as well. Because I was going to say the same thing about Boston, that they don't have anybody that can create his shot. Until Pritchard just cut us up shooting and off the dribble, right?
Right.
And then was
That's
2 for 29 against the Heat the following night. So
right. I do have concerns that other than campaign in that second unit, we don't really have anybody that can consistently create their own shot. But I haven't looked at others' benches to see that maybe that's the norm. You know, maybe having a guy off the bench that's six-man material that can create his own shot is a luxury that everyone doesn't have. And it's not just the Knicks. I would have to look at the other benches to see if that's the case. But in the playoffs, having as many people who can create their shot as possible is a must. Is a must. If you go back to that first year we were in the playoffs and how we had to run Derrick Rose ragged because all of those other guys who couldn't create their own shot was basically shut down. They were basically shut down. And it was Randall doing whatever he can do and Rose. Because Rogue and we used him so much he couldn't even play in game 6.
Or like came on. His check engine like came on and like after game 5. Like he was done.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, we got, you know, listen, we got Brunson, we got Bridges who could create their own shot. OG can do it. He's shown he can do it. You know, I don't know if that's something we can consistently expect from him, but he can create his own shot and create for others. And I mean consistently. I mean, listen, Miles McBride can take 3 shots into the lane and pull up 4. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, like, you know, defense is on you and you can still get a shot off.
My gripe with Deuce is the guy's 6'1". You got to realize you can't just go reckless into the lane like you're going to dunk on everybody. I don't. This is like 5 times I remember him just charging in there wildly. Ball bounces high off the rim on the missed dunk, and we giving up a 3-pointer the other direction. Like, I don't mind the mid range, and I never mind the threes because I think he's a great floor spacer. But I think his decision making with the ball sometimes is a little bit underwhelming.
Listen, go ahead, Jerrell.
I was just going to say that's part of the reason I think our bench is struggling, because to be honest, Deuce is struggling this year. Like he's not having the type of year that I thought he was going to have. I think injuries have a lot to do with that too. Like, seemed like he's been battling in some type of injury or illness off and on all season, and then when he does play, he's really inconsistent.
Yeah,
he could play better.
Call from
JJ.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
We doing good. Can you give me 1 minute to make this point? Because you know my condition. If I don't make it now, JJ, I'ma forget. About McBride. I think McBride is at his best when he is not dribbling. Like, he's at his best when they set him up for the 3, he pulls for the 3, or he attacks the closeout really cleanly and pulls up for a mid-range. When he's dribbling, trying to create his own shot, it just rarely works out for him, and it uses up a lot of the shot clock. You know, if he's just they give him the ball, he's open, pull. They close out on you, attack the closeout really efficiently, pull up for the mid-range. That is his game. I feel like he is at his best when he does that. Anything else, it's a crapshoot. We don't know what we're gonna get.
Agreed.
That's all I had to say, JJ. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so just kind of on Mitch. Yeah, so like my comment was saying, just I think we've come too far offensively to go back to playing 4 versus 5. I think it's too hard to win that way, regardless of how good offensively the other players are. I just think, 15, 16 minutes off the bench, I'm fine with that. But putting him in the starting lineup, like somewhat, I'm just not a fan of that. I just think we made too many big strides offensively to go back to have somebody who's just, not really a threat unless it's an open dunk or a putback dunk. I just think having 5 guys on the floor that could all score, playoff time, I think it's very beneficial. Just do.
I agree with you, and we're going to talk about this more in the next segment. But let me ask you though, how concerned are you over the defense? Because I'm with you. I want us to figure out a way to keep this offense ticking the way it is, and increase the defense. How do we do that though? Like what's your role for Mitch when he comes back? Because he can, he's a good rim protector. He's a good offensive rebounder. What's his role in your opinion? How can we get both? Or is that even possible?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I wish I had a perfect answer. To me, to me, Mitch, it's kind of matchup based. Like if we're playing Cleveland, hey, he's playing great and he's healthy. You want to play him 20-something minutes? Go ahead. I think certain matchups, I'm not trying to bash Mitch, but I feel like to me it's just matchups. Like if we're playing Boston, like who's he guarding? He's guarding Porzingis all the way at the 3-point line. We've seen that over the last couple of years, last 2 or 3 years since he's been in Boston, and usually ends horribly for us. So unless he's young Mitch, skinny Mitch, all of a sudden, I think Geoff said he lost a lot of weight, because you guys remember when he was younger, he would block shots on the 3-point line like nightly. That's what I loved most about him. And then he gained all the weight because he was tired of getting bullied by certain centers. So to me, it's just matchup based. To me, with Mitch, I'm not going to say he can't help the team, but I just feel like Knicks fans kind of act like he's a savior, or they kind of bow down to him. It's like it's the same thing every year. Like, oh, I can't wait till Mitch gets back. Like, what has he done? He's 7 feet. He's never averaged 10 points or 10 rebounds. Has he made defensive teams, all NBA teams defensively? Like, I know everyone gets excited. They talk about he helped us beat Cleveland, and he did. But nobody talks about why we lost the next round, because Mitch got abused by Bam Adebayo. So you kind of got to keep it a buck, Like, I just think Mitch, unless we're playing Cleveland and he's rolling and he's doing his job against those big guys, I'm giving him like 14, 15 minutes. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I talked about Thibodeau, earlier, being able to utilize Mitch in ways that really helps us, and mitigating and not hurting that offense.
It's not easy.
Not hurting that, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's just
right.
It's just not easy. And I will say this.
Right.
Towns is going to be able to score with Mitch was on the. I'm not saying the Knicks are not going to score with Mitch on the like. Brunson is going to be able to score, but what I'm saying is it makes it. If we're talking strategy here, it makes it easier for the other team when Mitch is on the floor.
Absolutely.
It makes it easier for the other team. That's what we talk. We're not talking about whether we're going to be able to score points, but that guy is going to be able to roam, cutting lanes, passing lanes, driving lanes are going to be, going to be impacted. And Thibodeau has to figure out: are we getting so much on the defense that it doesn't even matter for this stretch? Right? It doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the challenge.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, but that's pretty much all I got. Thanks so much for taking the call. You guys
appreciate
be good.
you. All righty,
appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, JJ.
Salute to JJ. Great call.
Always
Yeah.
rocking with us,
Always
Jay.
rocking with the salute, big guy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can just hop right into it, and then Ajay, I'm sure there'll be more comments on Mitchell Robinson in this section. You can flag him for us. Um, I'm excited about Mitchell Robinson. I don't know, people feel like I don't like Mitchell Robinson, but I'm excited about Mitchell Robinson coming back because I'm excited about this rotational versatility that Tom Thibodeau is going to have, to be able to use Mitchell Robinson in certain lineups. Maybe I mean, he can't close the game because of the free throw shooting, but right before crunch time, maybe use him again, use him with Towns. There'll be some games when Towns will probably continue to sit. If the offense is rolling and Mitch is doing his thing on the defensive end, Towns can sit, so I'm really liking that. I mean, the Knicks are a very efficient team. I don't think second chance points is a must. To me, I see second chance points and offensive rebounds and extra possessions as gravy. I don't see it as something critical to us winning, right? What I think will help, and I heard Ajay talking about this, he didn't quite agree on the last show, is Mitchell Robinson back there can allow our wings to press up. Can allow our wings to press up on those 3-point shooters, because if they get blown by Mitchell Robinson, it's not a layup, right? Mitchell Robinson is there to make it difficult for them to score, at least theoretically. So that rim protection is going to be, huge for us. And again, it's up to Tom Thibodeau to figure out when the best time to use it, because offensively it changes things for us. So I'm interested in the chat, because I've said this a lot, and people still want Mitch to start next to Towns for 28, 30 minutes a game because of what it does to our defense, and I agree with that. But nobody is looking at what it takes away from us offensively. So in the chat, I want somebody to please, because maybe I'm missing it, help me understand how 25, 28 minutes of Mitchell Robinson helps our defense but doesn't hurt our offense, or what we can do offensively to mitigate that. And this is an honest question I'm asking. And anybody on the panel, when you speak, if you want to answer that, that'll be great. And I'm legitimately trying, because like me, I'm like, do not touch this offense at all. Period. Point blank.
You're asking us what Mitch can do to help our offense.
Well, I'm asking, basically, am I overstating the impact on the offense? And can he bring so much on the defensive end that it just doesn't matter?
Right.
As much?
I think that's been Mitch's career, or, his story arc as a New York Knick in a nutshell. Like, is his sacrifice on offense, is he so good on defense that his sacrifice on offense, negates it?
Right.
Like Rudy Gobert, or, a center like that. Clint Capella.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Ben Wallace back in the day when he didn't have no offensive skill at all. But that's a different type of defender to me. Like, they are superior defenders to Mitch. Mitch is definitely a good defender. I don't want, I know the chat gonna kill me for that, but he's not Ben Wallace. Like, Ben Wallace went to the Hall of Fame because of how good he is at defense. But he's not Ben Wallace, but he's Mitch. I think Mitch can definitely help us on defense, and I think Tom Thibodeau will definitely give him minutes, and it's all about matchups. Like, I agree with JJ, especially in the playoffs.
Right.
Like against Boston, I don't see Mitch playing that much. But against Cleveland, or say we got to go against Philly with Embiid again,
Right.
you know, if he doesn't get hurt, if he doesn't hurt him again, you know, Ajay was going to mention that. But you know, it's teams like that. We definitely would like Mitch has a certain skill set that we would need in the playoffs.
Right.
He is needed, but he just comes with shortcomings. That's all. And I don't think him playing. I don't think he's going to play like 30 minutes a game, but him playing like 16 to 20 minutes in the playoffs, I think that'll be fine and perfect for him. I think that's the baseline for it.
Yeah. Ajay?
You know what? And just mention something comment on something Jerrell said. I think Boston's probably the only team in the East that he wouldn't be super useful against. All the other teams, if you throw Mitch in there, it'd make a difference.
Maybe I don't see it. Like, where's he going? Well, I guess
Pacers.
You think about Orlando? I mean, the Pacers, him guarding Miles Turner out at the 3-point line.
And I was thinking about the Bucks too. What is he going to do against the Bucks?
The Bucks. I mean, you do have center. You do have Lopez at center on the Bucks.
Yeah, we picking all, but see that's the thing. All of these teams' defensive centers hit the three too. So he would have to come out to the perimeter just like they do Boston. Like Miles Turner and Robin Lopez hit threes.
And he has done that though in the past. Like it's not like he hasn't guarded guys on the perimeter. So if you need him, it's not his thing.
It's not his strength.
That's not his strength. Like what his strength will be against Philly, against lumbering, tall centers like in Cleveland and Philadelphia.
And then that takes away the rim protection too, if he's which is why you want him in the game.
Right.
Queen. Yeah. I forgot, what was the question, Queen?
how Mitchell Robinson, like we're not trying to talk you out of liking Mitchell Robinson because he's needed. It's just that, you know.
No, listen, I'm not saying he's needed or not. I'm just saying he could be useful. And
absolutely, I'm
Queen, you mentioned, I'm going to go back to what I said in that show. You just mentioned that rim protection is not a huge problem. Our biggest problem is 3-point defense. Is guarding the 3-point line.
I understand, but you don't think having Mitch back there allows our guys to press up? Because if they get beat, Mitch will be there.
So you're saying now they don't press up because they don't have rim protection?
I'm not sure why. I'm not. Listen, there's a
disagree
lot
with
of reasons we're giving up three. One of them I feel is that we just over rotate on just a dribble in the direction of the key. Here go the Knicks. Two people rotating. I mean, that's. You know, that's part of it. There's a lot of reasons we're giving up. We're giving up threes.
I think just the thought of Mitch being there is probably going to be a problem. But and I see in the chat here, people say like, how is he going to help on offense? Listen, Mitch, he the putback, the offensive rebound, he'll give us more shots. That is helping out on the offense. Right, he is a lob threat, and some people are right. A couple of people mentioned that Jalen Brunson does not throw alley oops. He really doesn't do that a lot. But does he not do that because there's nobody for the oop? Maybe there's nobody to throw the alley oop to. I don't know, but I think he can help on offense. He doesn't have to score 20 points to help, but just the fact that he's given us more opportunities to shoot the ball is helping.
We're not saying he can't help, Ajay.
No,
he can help.
The chat, I'm saying the chat.
He can help. Strategically, though, it changes things on the offensive end. The Knicks play 5 out. It gives us an advantage. That key is wide open. We got passing lanes. We got driving lanes. We got cutting lanes. You put Mitch in the game, his guy is in the key. I'm not saying we can't score, but it does change our offense some. It does change what we do. Is Hart going to be able to drive in the lane and get the cuts and the layups he's been doing? Is Bridges going to be able, to do that? when we have Towns at the top of the key, that brings that center all the way out. Similar to when you got Mitch playing Porzingis or playing Miles Turner. Mitch is out the key now at the 3-point line, opening up a lot of space behind. I'm just saying, strategically, it's going to change how we play. Now, on off, we might make up it so much, make up for it so much on the defensive end that it doesn't even matter. I'm just pointing out this is the number 2 or number 3 defense in the NBA. Thibodeau has to be a bit strategic about how he's deploying Mitchell Robinson. He's going to help on one side, and I'm not going to say hurt, but changes how we play on the other side. That's all.
Queen,
I'm
real quick,
saying.
one
But
good.
it doesn't even. Okay,
One
sure.
good thing. One good thing, though.
Hold on. Mitch is at the top of the key now. Even if Mitch is at the top of the key, do you think his guy is going to the top of the key with Mitchell Robinson? He's not. He's not gonna go all. I mean, he may not be able to camp in the key if Mitch is at the top. But first of all, I don't even see Mitchell Robinson up at the 3-point line the way Cat is up at the 3-point line. You may see him in the top of the circle doing a dribble handoff, but it's different, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm over. Maybe I'm over. Maybe I'm overstating it, but I the defense is going to be a little different. Go ahead, Ajay, and then Geoff.
No, I was gonna say real quick before you, Geoff. Geoff, real quick, I would put Mitch in the game just to stop Cat from driving. Just be like,
yeah, you would, Ajay. I don't doubt that. He's not lying, folks.
Stay down there so he don't drive.
Ajay crazy, yeah.
Go ahead, Geoff.
I can't help but wonder aloud if the best configuration is to have Mitchell Robinson surrounded by 4 elite shooters. Like, I think where we'll get ourselves in trouble offensively, or reduce our effectiveness offensively, is if we do like we do in our second unit now, where we have Precious Achiuwa in the game with another non-shooter and Josh Hart, and it's all, that makes it more difficult. But if you can, and it may not be possible, but we have more shooters on this team than we've ever had, really. I mean, we're one of the most efficient teams in the league as far as our shot making is concerned. So I think that, you can design lineups, maybe with he and Bridges and OG and maybe Campaign, or, just to have 4 guys who shoot the 3 really well, because that maintains your spacing. You put them in the dunker spot. You keep him around for the offensive glass. If they miss, he either has a quick putback or he's real good at making that pass right out to the corner. And then at the same time, when you talked about pressuring up on the guards, I think that works defensively. That alignment could work defensively as well. So I kind of agree with Knicks 100 GM and JJ. I don't see Robinson as a 25-minute a game guy anymore. Like, not with the current iteration of this team, not with all the talent that we have on him. He doesn't need to be that. Especially come playoff time. Think about it. Cat's probably, unless he's in foul trouble, Cat's going to be playing 40 minutes. So you got 8 minutes behind him. If you're going to play them together a little bit, you're not going to do it more than 5 or 6 minutes. I wouldn't imagine anyway. Do you? I mean, so I think, the key is to make those 14 minutes, whatever it is, the most effective that they can be. And it allows us more versatility. And that's anytime you can add something to your team that can give you a different dimension And make no mistake about it, Robinson has his flaws, but he does something nobody else on this roster can do, and that's protect the rim, you know, and be a shot blocking threat where he's a deterrent. People, you know, there are shot blockers who block on the weak side, and people are going to drive anyway just because they're not scared. Robinson's not that. Robinson is a defensive presence that when he's on the floor, people are going to say, okay, we're not going to drive the paint because we don't want to, it's a waste of a possession. So he provides an element that nobody else on the team does, but that doesn't mean that that's an element that we need 24/7, 365, right? You hold on to it and you plug it in when you need the device, and when you don't need it, you unplug it and you go with something else, you know. And as I think it goes back to what you said initially, is that it's going to be on Thibodeau to make those decisions shrewdly and not, you know, I think rim protection is kind of his blanket, like Linus had that blue blanket he had to have with him all the time. And I think sometimes for Coach Tibbs, that rim protection is kind of that blanket that he just can't seem to let go of. And I think with this crew that he has, he's got to kind of let go of that and be able to say, okay, I'm going to do it in spells. I'm going to do it in spurts. But the most effective version of our team has to play. And I really feel like the person that Robinson hurts the most when he starts or when he plays is Josh Hart. Because Hart is I mean, he's not a non-shooter, but he's not a pure shooter. Like, he'll make some shots. He's making like 34%. He's not afraid to shoot it, but he's a reluctant shooter, to say the least, and not a highly efficient one. And Robinson clogs up a lot of the areas that Hart likes to get to. So I think when you're talking about Mitchell Robinson minutes, I think that it'd probably be best that he's not paired with Josh Hart or Precious Achiuwa, for that matter.
Right. And listen, I get it. Mitch, if Mitch is, I get it. If Mitch is playing, doing his dribble handoff, his guy can't like just camp in the lane. I get that. But you're not going to tell me that with Mitch at the 5, even if we put him at the 3-point line, we're going to have as much space as we have when Cat is on the 3-point line. It's just not going to be the same spacing. Yeah. And I'm addressing the chat, Geoff, not you.
I agree with that. I think you're 100% correct.
Yeah. And so people who are saying that he doesn't clog the mid, like his guy can roam. We saw it in Cleveland when we played Cleveland. We won that series, but whoever was playing Mitch was double teaming Brunson and then running back to Mitch. So that guy is going to be able to roam. He's going to be able to roam a little bit. He doesn't have to stick tightly to Mitchell Robinson. So it does impact our space. We'll see. I mean, listen, I've been a Thibodeau supporter, but if he messes this up, I'm gonna be. I'm gonna have a lot to say.
You're gonna have what?
I'm gonna have a lot to say.
Uh-oh. Fight.
I got to bookmark this one.
Yeah. Let me just hold on one second. So we already talked about the minutes. I say he plays between 15 and 18 minutes a game. I think he'll play some minutes with Cat. Most of the minutes I think he'll play behind Cat. I don't think he's a starter. Like, he's 15 to 18 minutes. Whether he starts and get 15 and 18 minutes, he comes off the bench and get it's 15 to 18 minutes. I don't see him getting starters minutes. Like, I don't see him, say he plays 26 minutes a game. I don't see Cat playing 26 minutes at the 4, while Mitch is playing the 26 minutes at the 5.
I wouldn't want to see that. I love Mitch, but I think Cat's most effective at the 5 spot. That's just my opinion. I think the advantages he creates at the 5 are, I mean, you can really make the case that he's performing at an all NBA level at the 5 spot this year. So why would you want to do different than that? Not that he was bad in Minnesota last year next to Gobert, but I think this version of Cat is superior to the one that we saw at any point last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't watch a lot of Timberwolves games, but I don't remember a lot of people having him in a conversation for first team all NBA a year ago. And I think you can, it's not a clear cut case, but especially if Giannis ends up missing, more than 17 games or whatever it is, I think he's right there. Certainly second team, if not first.
Right. Shout out to Curtis. Knicks can create space with ball movement like they're doing now. It's about movement to create space. You can move the ball all you want around the perimeter. But if there's no space I mean, you can move the ball around the perimeter and get an open 3-point shot. If the middle is clogged up, absolutely you could do that. But the Knicks are at their best because they also cut, they also drive, they also pass. All of that comes from their spacing, right? So it's not just ball movement creating the space for the Knicks. It's the ball movement and the fact that the key is open.
Oh, and we make shots.
And we're making shots. We're definitely a more efficient.
And more to your point, Queen, the people say Tibbs doesn't run any offense, but what Tibbs always wants to do is to draw two to the ball. And that's most effective when everybody else around is clearly a good shooter. And when you have Mitch out there, it loses some of that effectiveness because you're not as worried about leaving him, open, because unless it's a dunk or a lob, he's not going to do anything with it. I am kind of curious how McCall and Cat, if they are on the floor with them both, I think could be really good lob passers, which isn't
Absolutely
something that's in Brunson's arsenal. And I think it's because of his size. It's difficult for him to see and then just put, in other words, he has to use so much footwork to create space on those shots when he gets in the paint. I think it negatively affects his ability to throw an effective lob. I could be completely wrong about that, but that's the only reason I could think of why he wouldn't do it, because he's such a smart player. But he's not gonna try and make a pass that he doesn't think is gonna lead to a bucket. So, but I'm kind of curious if on the bench, if McCall could get him involved, maybe in some pick and roll and get him to the rim for some easy dunks. That would be a nice usage of him as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think McCall will still be able to get off his mid-range shots?
Randall and RJ did, so yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing that's so dangerous about Bridges in the mid-range is it doesn't seem like it matters what coverage or you have on him. I mean, he's kind of like a DeRozan light in that respect. I mean, he's not DeMar. DeMar is the master of making those shots, and Brunson is right up there too. But McCall doesn't. He's long enough and he's athletic enough that he can just create space for that fadeaway along the baseline or in the paint. So I don't overly worry about that. And again, I think if you're plugging in 3 other really good shooters alongside him and with Mitch in the game, then I don't think that's a problem at all. If you have Josh Hart and Precious Achiuwa in there with them, then yeah, it might get a little sticky, but I don't know any reason why we should be running that lineup out there at all.
I actually think Mitch being a lob threat, I think with the ball in Cat's hands would be more likely than Jalen Brunson's.
Yeah, no doubt. Because that's something that Towns did effectively with Rudy Gobert. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. Mitch is going to help. He's going to that double big, that lob, that big lob threat is definitely going to be there. We have more players on the team that can take advantage of, of the lob and kind of stretch the floor vertically. Again, I still think it's just Thibodeau gonna have to, he's gonna have to, he's gonna have to balance it. And I've heard people say, Cat can score from anywhere, and he can. Brunson can score from anywhere, and he can. But it's not about those guys. It's about the team, right? It's about making it easier for Josh Hart, making it easier for OG, making it easier for Bridges. Brunson can score in the phone booth. It's not going to change him. You can move Cat to the 4. He's still going to score. Like, these guys are talented. It's just what the spacing does for the rest of the
and how hard do you have to work for those points too? Because
that's true.
If one of the differences between
that's a fair point.
Randall and Towns is that Towns affords more opportunities for Brunson to get those wide open looks from 3, whereas he didn't have quite as many of those. As actually, even after Randall went down, those shots were few and far between for him last year, and he sees more of them this year. And so yes, they can score regardless, but if you can get an easy shot for them and get them in rhythm, that's going to be a lot better. How many times have we seen it this year? It seems like every time Brunson has a bad game, it's because he's forcing it and he's working super hard and almost over trying to get his shots up. And if we can avoid that, we're going to be better off for it.
Yeah, fair point. And I know it's a great point because JJ agrees with you. Those guys can get their shots off no matter what, but it may be a little harder. It's going to make Brunson and Cat have to work harder in the paint. Listen, it's about checks and balances. It's about, overall, being a plus. That's basically, what it is. That can you help our defense so much? That's what's happening on the offensive end doesn't matter in some matchups. And again, that's going to be on Thibodeau. Bridges has one of the quickest releases in the NBA. He can get his shot against Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to this comment here. We're a better shooting team. Mitch's rebound are useless.
I guess he's talking about the offensive rebound.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a terrible take. That's such a limited-minded take that I wanted to post it. So right now I think we're the 3rd best shooting team in the league or something like that, and we're shooting about 56. 56.6% effective shooting percentage. So you mean to tell me we wouldn't be a better team if we're shooting like maybe 59% or 60%? It's simple math that if you're shooting a better percentage, if you get more opportunities and you have a chance to shoot better percentage, you're going to be a better team. You're going to win more games. So it's kind of a strange take to think that because we're shooting better, we don't need rebounds. Okay, the better shooting team actually is offensively, yes.
Okay.
Cleveland, is shooting better, probably because they grab a lot of rebounds. It gives them more opportunities to shoot. And these guys are NBA players. You give them 2-3 shots, they're gonna make them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. Like, it's you always have to do better. So because you're a better shooting team doesn't mean you don't need rebounds. I don't understand that logic. Maybe you guys don't understand it. But I don't get it because you're still missing a lot of shots.
I guess you're saying that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I guess you're saying when we weren't making shots, Mitch was more important than because of his skill set.
That's different than that. It's different that Mitch is not as important as opposed to Mitch is useless. That's the difference.
I mean, useless, it might be a little strong.
Yeah,
but I get his point.
I read it for what it is. Mitch is useless. Mitch is useless.
Right.
Okay,
I mean, but that part of it may be a little strong, but I do agree that offensive rebounding is gravy for this particular team. Last year was critical. It was critical because we were a poor shooting team. So we had to get second shots to stay in the game. I think that if we get second and third opportunities, I think that's a big boost. Don't get me wrong. That is a big boost. If you're a good shooting team and you're able to get, 2 and 3 opportunities, at the basket, that is a big boost. I just don't think it's as critical as it was last season because we're a better shooter team.
I think the key point with Robinson is, and the good part about this current version with Robinson is we're not reliant upon Mitchell Robinson. So if Mitch comes in and he stinks up the joint, you just put him on the bench. You can play without him. If he comes in and he gives you valuable minutes and he's having an impact on the game, then you continue to play him. So, to me that, it's not like, oh, if Mitch doesn't play 30 minutes a game, we're not going to the finals. Right. Nobody's saying that, right? So, can he help? Yes. And if he's not helpful, he won't play. like right. Let's be honest. We know who this coach is. He's gonna, he has access to all the data. If Mitch, he'll give Mitch a long rope. I promise you. But when it comes down to it in the playoffs, if he ain't getting it done, he's gonna rely on those starters that he has out there now because he knows what they can do.
Yeah. Can I say something about this whole Mitch hater thing in the chat? Let me say something really quick. The people who are objective about Mitch in the sense that we acknowledge that he's an elite defensive player, acknowledge that he's an elite offensive rebounder, acknowledge that the team will be better defensively when he comes back, but also acknowledge his limitations, right? He's a poor free throw shooter, so you can't close the game with him, even if you would want your rim protector and you can't close the game with him. The Knicks have the number 2 offense because of the spacing that Cat creates. You're just not going to get that with Mitchell Robinson. So I feel like those of us who talk about Mitchell Robinson, even Geoff, who loves Mitchell Robinson, are able to give a balanced perspective on Mitchell Robinson, what he does well, what he doesn't do well. But we're considered haters. The Mitchell Robinson fans, all they do is talk about what Mitchell Robinson brings, and they cannot see his limitations at all. Oh, Mitch don't clog up the lane. Oh, Mitch, I'm like they only see what he does well. They don't acknowledge the poor free throw shooting. They don't acknowledge how much the guards are going to have to work harder because but we're haters, but they're not delusional by just seeing one part of Mitch and not seeing any negative when it comes to Mitchell Robinson. To me, that's delusional. The rest of us can see both sides. Those who love Mitchell Robinson, not everybody, but a lot of those who like Mitchell Robinson can only see one side. And it makes it really difficult for me to take you seriously. If you can't look at a player and also see that player's limitations, you got to make excuses for the player. Like I don't get it. We're all Knicks fans. We want to win. You got to be able to see.
Don't be disparaging my guy Delusional though, Queen.
But
Just because he's not on the show, you can't just be pigeonholing those opinions on. He didn't say none of that, man. He's out there practicing his jumper for the Twitter Knick basketball game, and so he's not even here to defend himself.
Salute to Delusional, man.
Yeah,
Amen.
salute to Delusional. But I mean, come on, Mitchell Robinson fans, like
It's like that with
you gotta
everybody
be
we draft,
both sides
Steph.
of it. Come on.
It's like that with everybody we draft. They all got hives. It's normal at this point. I don't really pay it no mind. Like some people just like it's all about who you like. I think when you once you get on the panel and we have to talk every week about the Knicks, it really starts to get away from the players that you like quickly. I don't know if everybody has noticed that. We all have our favorites, but I don't know if you noticed that every time we talk about our favorites, we have to talk about them objectively.
Right. I love Brunson.
I do too. He had turnstile on defense. I seen somebody blow by Jalen Brunson like he wasn't even there one night. Like I was like, what the hell was that, Jalen?
One night, Jerrell.
It's been more than one night, but it's like he didn't even tried. Yo, I was like, what am I looking at? But he's Jalen Brunson. He's my favorite player on the team. I really like him.
He's my favorite player on the team.
He has shortcomings. Like
my issue with Jalen Brunson is his recognition sometimes.
Yeah.
And how he could be on the bench and Cat is tearing it up, and he act like he was in the locker room and he didn't see what was going on the court. He come right back in, and now it's his show. Like, yo, did you not see Cat just drop 15 straight points? And you come in and you're gonna take a pull-up jumper.
Right.
I mean, you got to be able to see both sides of, he has to get better with that. He has to get better at recognizing what we need when we need it. The margins are slim in the playoffs.
Against Atlanta, when Bridges was on multiple possessions guarded by Trey, and then all of a sudden you just see Jalen dancing on the other side. Like he don't see nothing over there. You do not see this 6'7" dude just posting up Trey with his hand up. I see Jalen Brunson just look him off, dance in the corner, and try to hit a shot. Whether he makes it or not, that's not the point.
Right.
Like his recognition is a problem sometimes.
Sometimes it's a problem. And I get it. Listen, we struggling to score. We're not hitting shots. Sometimes you gotta do that.
Yeah, bro. He said he get the look off anybody he want to for that.
That's great. I think the inverse is true, Queen. I think when we dislike a player, all we can see is the things that we don't like about them.
That's true.
And we ignore all of the good things that player can provide. So I think that the coin works both ways. I think that, and I think it's only natural as humans. We want to focus on the things that support our opinion and ignore the things that disagree with it. So I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah. But I still on the panel, at least, I think we try to see both sides.
You have to. Yeah. We've been up here too long.
Except for Jericho Sims. We didn't try to see it.
That's because
Or at least I did. I'm going to be honest. I did not try and see both sides of Jericho.
That's because he doesn't have two sides.
He only got
we don't see. He just doesn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, anything else on Mitch?
Nah, stuff. I gotta roll soon. Like this.
I'm ready to close it out myself.
How many segments we got? You only got like 1 or 2 questions though, right?
That was the end of the segments.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, we did it. We did the season. We did the season review. We did the schedule. We did what we want to see from the Knicks out of the next 28 games, and Mitchell Robinson. That's all I had.
We could wrap up. There's a couple of comments. We could wrap up with that.
Yeah, wrap up with the comment. But Jerrell, it was you. You wanted to bring up the All-Star game. We could have been out of here. No,
Jerrell out here delaying things, man.
That's my fault. You're right.
Shout out to Ray says Mitch is not the savior that many think he is. His opinion. Knicks 100 GM say Mitch and Precious. Man, we're gonna struggle to score. Von Allen says, "What more do we need from him on offense, but to get offensive rebounds, as he's the best in the game?" Well, he has been the best in some season, but we don't know what we're going to get from him this time around, right? Remember, he hasn't played a minute in the NBA.
What do we need from him on offense?
But
anyway, let's just move it along.
So there's a couple. This is a two-part comment from two different. Like, Mitch is a lob threat. The Knicks have to put him into action. And JM 3000 answered, Brunson doesn't throw lobs.
Let's solve that problem real quick.
Curtis D. Young, we haven't seen Mitch with this current lineup yet. So how do we know that he'll hurt the offense? Let's not forget the putbacks he'll add to the offense. I think that's a good point, man. We're under. It's underrated that his putbacks are underrated.
I don't think so.
Putbacks is not even a category like you. That's not even on the scouting report.
Well, it might be keep him off the offensive boards. Listen, how do we know he'll hurt the offense? Because Mitchell Robinson's skill set, and how we're playing right now. So if you know how we're playing right now, and you take out one guy and you put in another guy, it's going to change how we listen. I'm not saying the Knicks can't score the basketball. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is it's going to look a little different. That's all I'm saying. It's going to look a little different.
All right. Shout out to Sherwin, said, "No, Steph, Mitch is the helper. He can help and get back."
At the 3-point line. So if he's playing Porzingis, Sherwin, you feel like he can go out there, guard Porzingis, and then get back in the key and be the rim protector. I'm not so sure about that. What do you guys think?
Flash.
We saw that movie already. We knew how it ended too.
I mean, we're talking about, yes, if it's a Mitch is a very good pick and roll defender too, right? So I'm not talking about pick and roll stuff in the key. I'm talking about Miles Turner, KP, those guys.
Lopez.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the centers we're going to have to play in the playoffs with 7-game series. Bucks, Pacers, Celtics.
He's going to help us. I think that we're kind of skewing it. He is going to help us. It's on Tom Thibodeau to put him in the right position. That's it.
But I also think too, and I think this is kind of where the confusion sets in. I don't think anybody's saying that he's this magic spell that takes us from where we're at now to, instant trip to the finals, sweep whoever we play. I don't think anybody's saying, and at least nobody on this panel is saying that. I mean, there are some probably in Knicks Nation who are saying that, but I does he make us better? Yes. I mean, I don't think you can objectively look at Mitchell Robinson and say adding him to this team that is kind of light at the center position doesn't help us in some capacity.
Correct. Let me just do that. Steph, you concerned with style points, really? Mitch in the offense was only an issue with RJ and Randall because of their inability to shoot from the perimeter. No, it's not. I don't care about style points. I grew up watching the Knicks of the 90s. That was the ugliest basketball you could play. For me, it's about getting the win. Whether it's pretty or whether it's ugly, I could care less. What I'm saying is, in the playoffs, if you have a player in your lineup who can't shoot, they can get played off the floor. They can get played off the floor. So I'm not talking about the regular season. Yeah, you can get away with a clunky lineup, Mitch, RJ, and Randall in the regular season. You're not getting away with that in the post game. I mean, in the playoffs. I don't even care if you have shooters around. It's going to be an issue in the playoffs when they game plan to your weakness, and having a guy who doesn't command attention is a weakness. Now, can they be so superior on the defensive end that it cancels out or mitigates that on the offensive end? Yeah, but this is not about style points. This is about playoff strategy. This is about what teams do in the playoffs when you have a player in your lineup who doesn't command attention. And right now, all 5 Knicks, Josh Hart might be the weakest, can pass, shoot, and drive. That makes the Knicks team an offensive nightmare. Now, the flip side of that, though, is right now they're not a very good defensive team. So I get it. We're great on offense, not great on defense. Then you put a great defensive team out there, then the offense. I get it. I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm just pointing out what I think the challenge is. Go ahead, Ajay.
What was I? Oh, shout out to Alois. He says, iHeart was here and we weren't playing 5 out, really. How many threes did iHeart shoot last year?
That is true. But iHeart can also move the ball along. He was able to move. When you gave the ball to iHeart, even if he wasn't going to hit a 3, it was a little shorter space because he was at the free throw line. But if you cut behind him, he was able to hit you.
And he was a threat with that little floater, too. He shot that very high percentage, which made him where you had to come up and guard him.
Right. You didn't have to come out to the 3-point line, but you had to at least come up to the foul line, and you had to guard him. And he was a good passer. He was a threat. Even if he wasn't a bigger threat as Towns, he was a threat.
Yep.
You had to play him.
Good passer, touch around the basket. That's the difference.
Look at if I didn't know better, if this wasn't coming as quickly as it was, I would think JJ is just waiting for us to talk and then typing it in real quick.
Great minds think alike, JJ. That's all I'm going to say.
He said great passer, and he at least has the floater.
Then he said Mitch has neither.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Facts.
What else? Shout out to Von Allen says, Mitch on the floor increases your shot opportunities and you effectively get more offensive possessions because you get more stops. So the offense, his contribution on offense is D, or or something like that. What else? Sherwin says, Britza, we talk about he can shoot.
Yeah,
did you mention that? I feel like we talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. JJ says nobody gets on Josh Hart for the defensive droughts. That's true. Because he be having some defensive oopsies, like a lot in the game. Sometimes he just disappears on defense. Josh Hart.
I think the thing with Hart, though, is it's never a lack of effort. It's sometimes a lack of on-court intelligence. Like sometimes I'm like, why are you doubling that person to leave Malik Beasley open for 3 when he's like 8 of 6 from 3-point land against us? Like, come on. But I mean, I think he gets more of a pass because his effort is always supreme. He's always battling, and he's such a great rebounder at his size, and he's often, I think he's often tasked with guarding players who are a lot quicker than him or a lot bigger than him. And so, I'm not saying he should get a pass, but I think those are the reasons maybe that he does.
Yeah.
Von Allen.
Oh my God. JJ is waiting for us to. Yeah, it's not effort. He's a low IQ. JJ just waiting for us to talk. Then you typing it in real quick.
I'm glad he called into the show, or people would start thinking JJ and I are the same person.
And the last one I'll go. Von Allen says, trying to understand how Cleveland has the best offense with a non-offensive center in the way clogging the lanes. I guess that's the counter the fact that we're saying Mitch is the non-offensive player, but he would clog the middle. Basically saying Cleveland has the same problem, but somehow they're the best offensive team in the league.
Yeah, I think that they can get away with this in the regular season. I do think in the postseason you're going to see more of Mobley at center. It depends on if you're able to exploit that weakness. You have to have a team that's good enough to exploit the weakness.
And remember,
the
the
thing
Knicks were
about
top 5 on offense with Mitchell Robinson configurations during the regular season. Just to corroborate your point, you know, is what she's saying is exactly true. Just because when you're in the regular season, a lot of teams can't cope with that kind of size, and they have elite perimeter shooting with Garland and Donovan, obviously. So I'm curious to see if those hold up in the playoffs. Maybe they will, but I think Queen's right. I think you're going to see one of Allen and Mobley on the floor at a time a lot more, especially now that they traded for DeAndre Hunter.
Right. Exactly.
Honestly, everything that we've been talking about when it comes to Mitch was me talking about what he gives us in the playoffs anyway. It's not the regular season.
Right. Right.
I don't care what Mitch gives us in the regular season.
Right.
Like Mitch will be Mitch. I'm worried about like his matchups against the teams that we have to play in the playoffs. I don't really think of like I want him to come back as soon as possible just so he can be acclimated with the team and he, you know, be on the ground running when playoff time comes. But I don't care about Mitchell Robinson in the regular season or his stats and stuff. Like I don't care about any of that. It's about the playoffs and the matchups that we have to go against.
Yeah, and so Vaughn Allen, I hear what you're saying, and to Jeff's point, we had a top 5 offense with a non-offensive center in years past. And then the playoffs came, and so it's going to be interesting to see what the Cavs do with Jared Allen if they come up against a team that can exploit the fact that he doesn't do much with the ball. But they have the versatility, particularly now with DeAndre Hunter, where they could put Mobley at the center and put DeAndre Hunter at the 4. You know?
Last but not least, hit the like button. We have what do we have on YouTube here? We have 107 and only 49 likes.
See?
We got to do better than this, man. Come on.
Y'all like Mitch that much? Start talking bad about Mitch, man.
No,
don't get them likes up.
Yeah, hit the likes up. Let's see if we could get it. Let's see if we can get it to 75.
75.
Hit them likes up.
Hit the likes up and hit it on the way out. Or
got our likes looking like Mitch's free throw percentage. Get the likes up.
The Knicks play Thursday, so that's why we went on today. Thursday and Friday and Sunday. So they still going to get 3 games in
quick
this week. And Sunday is Boston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Cleveland and then Boston.
And then
we have Chicago at home, then we travel to Cleveland, and then we Boston on Sunday.
Yep.
So going to be a rough week.
Yeah, we all right. I still see us going 20-8 the rest of the way.
Okay, sure. Okay.
I thought you were going to say 20-8 this week. That would be really good.
The rest of the way, 20-8.
It never ceases to amaze me with his prediction.
20-8, 56 wins.
Yeah. Sherwin definitely took his like away.
Hey, man, give us a like.
And a great perspective. Yeah. Appreciate you, Vaughn.
Yeah, salute to Vaughn Allen, man. He was chatting.
Sure.
You know, whether disagree or not, he was chatting all show like that.
Yeah. And it's okay to disagree.
Word.
I have no fear of the Cavs either. The Cavs are, I shouldn't say that. They're just not playoff tested. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. In terms of their roster, I like it. They have a very good roster. I'm not taking anything away from them.
I don't know why I feel the same way. It's
but the
to
playoffs
me,
are different. They have to prove to me that they can be this team in the playoffs. And the Knicks have to prove that as well. Don't get me wrong. Knicks
it's only two teams I'm worried about, and one of them I shouldn't be worried about, but I can't get over the Bucks.
You worried about the Bucks?
I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't get it's just a mental hang up of us going in a 7-game series with the Bucks. I don't like it.
They have nobody who can guard Jalen.
I don't like it. I don't know why.
You-
I
you-
said that prefacing that it don't make sense. It does not make sense. I'm not worried.
Everybody has their boogeyman,
Yeah.
Jerrell, and that's all it is.
For some reason, I do not like the Bucks matchup. Now they got Kyle Kuzma too. I don't like the Bucks matchup.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
please.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right.
Please.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't understand why you guys not afraid of Cleveland. I listen.
I don't know why either, man. That's just a hang
Yeah,
up.
they're a good. Listen, they're a good team.
Yeah.
I'm not. They're the number one record, but the playoffs are different. The playoffs are different. It's not the same. It's just not, and that's going to be for the Knicks too.
So you feel in the playoffs we're gonna turn it up to the point where we could. I don't
I'm
know.
saying that's not what I'm saying.
Hmm.
I'm saying they are not a playoff tested team, and neither is this particular Knick team as well. I'm not.
Yeah.
You know,
But Keyshawn makes a great point. Unless something changes radically in the standings, we don't have to worry about Cleveland unless we can get by Boston.
Right.
Yep. I said it was two teams. I didn't say who.
Yeah, I know.
I
know
just
you
said the
did.
Bucks. I didn't want to say the C's name.
That's true. We might be with Boston, and we've Boston is just
Yeah, it is.
see, they play 5 out, but
Assault.
unlike us, they switchable on defense.
Yep, all of them.
All of them.
Just
They
switchable
didn't,
on
they didn't even have Holiday last game
Or KP.
or KP. They dismantled us. It's for a reason.
Sherwin says, "I think we'll sweep the Sixers because you think the Sixers going to make it in there.
Yeah, they're in 11th right now. I'm not worried about the Sixers
Are they even in the play-in right now? They outside.
Nope.
because of health.
And I'm not sure they're better than the Nets right now, and I mean that unironically.
Yo, the Nets is balled. I don't know
What happened with the Nets, man?
Hey,
Yeah.
they balling.
Why are they winning? You
They're
figure
not supposed to have 20. They had 20 wins already. That's nuts.
defense.
They guard you, man. I think they've won like 7 of 8, and they've held their opponents under 100 points in every one of those wins.
Yeah, they got a good coach.
Yep.
I think they wish they didn't hire him though. At this point.
I know, right?
They do not want 20 wins. They wanted to tank. You could tell.
Right.
It's backfiring.
All right. Any last words?
Nah, man. Salute to everybody. Salute to the chat. We got a show in, even though we got a game on Thursday. I'm glad everybody got back together, man. It was good.
Yeah, like it. It's the fam. This the fam.
So I have a request, y'all. If y'all like Knicks history,
Mhm.
I started a series of articles that I'm calling Knick Tales, and I've already tomorrow I think the 3rd article publishes in the series. But what it is, it's stories about so far it's stories about the first 3 seasons of the Knicks back in the 40s when it was still the BAA. And so it's just a history of those teams and kind of what they went through and some of the players that were on them and those kinds of things. And so if you want to know about some of the stuff that happened before most of us were born, I think it's a cool read. I would appreciate it if you came to the blog and checked it out. I've got other Knicks material there as well, but I'm real excited about this Knicks Tale series, and I really would like your feedback because I'd like to do some more with it, but I kind of want to see. I just want y'all's feedback and see what you liked about it, what you'd like to hear more, what you think would make them better. So if y'all have time. They're quick reads, 3 or 4 minutes, and it's pretty cool stuff to like those were the original Knicks, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just put the link in the chat about 4 times, so that'll take you right to his blog, and Geoff is a great writer.
Mhm.
Just great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a great writer. So yeah. All right, Jerrell, Ajay, Geoff, I appreciate you
Hit the
3.
like
Geoff, thank you so much for holding it down. You missed the serenade, but all three of you guys did a great job on the first show, and you and Ajay were really good on the second show. It was just an easy listen, easy conversation. So appreciate you. Shout out to the callers today, Ajay and Corey Lee. Be sure to check out Corey Lee on Blonde Tears, 718 boys.
JJ.
You said Ajay.
JJ and Corey.
Oh, I meant JJ. Yeah, not Ajay.
Hit the like button. 20-8 the rest of the way.
Until next time, family. Until next time.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you